Hey guys, this is Crypto Swoop.
And this is Moriarty.
Serious Sam VR, The First Encounter, which is very confusing because, as a matter of fact, this is the second VR game that Serious Sam has put out. However, this is the first VR game where you can use locomotion via the trackpad. You move a set amount of distance.
Yeah, you do little hops.
They're little hops in the direction you push on your D-pad. I did find that if you hold down the direction, it'll kind of like stutter you towards the direction you want to go very slowly. But if you press, you can move really fast. And in fact, I found myself having to do that quite often to avoid enemies. So I started out this game playing on, I think it was called Serious Mode. It was the highest difficulty mode available for the game. It is. It's totally serious. I'd like to point out that I've never played Serious Sam before. This is the first Serious Sam title I've played.
Serious Sam is my mother's favorite game.
Is it?
She adores Serious Sam because she doesn't have to think and plan and do all that kind of stuff when it comes to a video game. She can just go in there and blast thousands of people.
This, to me, speaks to me of Doom.
Well, Serious Sam has always been a horde shooter type of game. Lots of bad guys, no tactics, no cover, no reloading, none of that kind of stuff. Just a good old-fashioned shoot 'em dead kind of game. It was always about being confronted by thousands of enemies. And that's what I remember when I think of a Serious Sam, is the thousands of enemies that you could fight in a single battle. And this has definitely got that, but it's in VR.
And it is actually quite a bit of fun. The graphics are really, really good. Like, I was impressed with how good everything looked and the performance of this game. It did not stutter at all. The graphics looked really nice.
No, we're talking Devolver Digital, who is probably the king of indie developers, but then we're also talking about Croteam, who is really a very small indie development studio. This is an indie near AAA type of developer.
This is an indie game?
This is indie developers, and that's what's so incredibly cool about Devolver and about Croteam, is that they have always been indie, and they call themselves indie AAA.
Really?
So they produce AAA quality games, but they do it as indie developers, and they really are. They're one of the coolest independent development teams out there. They put out so many incredible games. I love Devolver. I love all the stuff that they've been doing recently. In fact, they're probably one of the few developers I actually buy games from now that I review games and get them for free. I have a lot of love for the development team there. And I really appreciate that they're doing this kind of stuff. Croteam is the actual developer, though, and they are very much an indie developer. So this is an indie VR game, and it's a really good one. Serious Sam's always been successful, so I think they probably have the kind of backing that they need to produce a good quality VR game. But let's not look at this as a AAA Ubisoft, EA type of development team.
Now, I will say from what I saw of the game, this is so far one of the most complete experiences I've seen in VR. I'm not saying it's the most, but it is very much so one of the best I've played yet.
It's good. It's got 16 levels or something like that.
Holy goodness.
It's definitely a full experience. It's got co-op, it's got competitive, it's got all sorts of very cool stuff. It's definitely a complete experience, which is nice. It's kind of funny that the most complete experiences that we've played in VR have all come from indie studios that most people have never heard of.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of that.
Oh, it's kind of depressing, actually, because, you know, we've got these big boys out there, and I'm still waiting on Doom VR.
Yeah, when is that coming out? I'm still waiting on Fallout 4 VR. I actually refused to complete Fallout 4 because I was like, oh, it's coming out in VR. I'm not going to play it on PC.
And here we have indie developers producing high-quality games and producing several of them in the time it takes to even get an announcement from a AAA developer. So with regards to VR, it's absolutely 100% an indie developer's playground. They can do whatever they want here, and they are doing it, and they're doing really good stuff. This game also has co-op, which is one of the things that we want to see more of in VR games. We want more co-op games, and this one has it. And it's done really well. That's a lot of reallys.
That is a lot of reallys, but it was fun to play in co-op. Now, I will say that it's a bit chaotic. At the difficulty level we played it on co-op, it wasn't terribly difficult. It was just kind of who got to them first could kill them.
I'm much more susceptible to the VR illness, so I wanted to try it out first.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of that. I didn't realize why you picked easy.
I wanted to try it out and see if it was a game that I could even play. And I found that the teleportation and the little hop movement are both fine. However, and this was the most infuriating thing for me, is that I would click to teleport and instead I would hop.
They did it a very interesting way. So when you're teleporting, it seems like you get one big teleport if you're standing still for a while.
No, you get two options. You can either point it at the ground and it will move you directly to the ground, or you can point it an arc. You actually have 3 different locomotions in this game.
Really?
If you point the controller directly at the ground, you can aim it and move it wherever you want, as far away as you want. Or you can point it up and you get an arc movement, or you can do the little bunny hop.
I found myself using the bunny hop the most.
Which is fine, and it's a perfectly good one, and it actually works fine even for people who do get the VR sickness. But my problem was that I would click to teleport, and I would bunny hop. Then I would click to bunny hop, and I would teleport. Because for whatever reason, like, just wasn't working with my fingers, man. So I think you'll probably see that yourself if you're a teleporter. You're going to do the little bunny hops now and again, simply because they're all used by the exact same controller.
But for the hops, you can hop really fast from side to side, and you can just dodge around enemies and strafe, and if you're good enough, you can circle strafe. Let me tell you that circle strafing is not terribly easy in VR.
No, not at all. The thing is that you do end up moving around a lot, and you do end up spinning around a lot, and I got completely tangled up in my headset more than one time. That is probably the biggest drawback to this entire game, is the fact that you are going to be spinning around a lot. You're going to get tangled up. If you're not prepared for that, be prepared for it.
One other thing I did notice is that, like, when you're playing co-op, your voice inside the game actually echoes. Like, if you're in a big chamber, your voice will echo, and it's really neat.
Super
the way
cool.
that, yeah, they spent a lot of time working on the soundstage in this game. And I appreciated that. It made it that much more realistic. Made me feel like, okay, I am inside a cavern with my buddy over here, and we're gonna go murder a whole bunch of flying dead horse claw monster lobster things.
We've mostly talked about the mechanics here, and we've mostly talked about the actual way that the game works. And I do want to point out that I was incredibly impressed at the level design in this game. The first level is the actual mortuary tomb of Queen Hatshepsut from the 19th dynasty. And that's actually the real one. That's what it looks like, or looked like, 3,500 years ago in Egypt. Like, that was really, really impressive to me. It's not often that you get into any game and see a replication of one of the great wonders of the world that most people have never even heard of.
Yeah, no, that's entirely accurate.
On top of that, it was absolutely pretty. It was so cool. I, at one point, when we first started playing, walked myself all the way out into the desert and just stood there looking at the huge mortuary tomb, and I was, like, completely blown away. So there's a lot of really cool stuff there. They've put a lot of attention into it. I appreciated it a lot. And that's the kind of stuff that in a game like this, where you're running around and fighting, you wouldn't probably care or notice if it wasn't in VR, because it's just a tiny little screen. Even if you have a big screen, it's 27-inch or 10-inch or whatever you have, it's not surrounding you. You're not looking up into the corners. You're not looking at the floor, and you're not looking at these things, because in a shooting game, you're instead just kind of running around, getting all the kills and going to the next guy and getting all the kills and going into the next room and just kind of moving along. In VR, even though it's still very fast-paced, it's still naturally slower because of the fact that it's VR and you're just kind of doing your thing. So as you move through, you actually start to notice these things, and it really does build up a very cool feeling throughout the entire building, throughout the entire levels as you go from level to level to level. And I really, really appreciated that so very much.
The textures on the walls, while at the same time, they appeared to be slightly jaggy and very squarish. They're really pretty in VR. Like, they look great. Like, it looks like you're actually inside of a tomb until you get to, like, a door or something like that, which looks a little bit less realistic because you're going to get so close to it, but just the textures were great. They did a fantastic job.
There's definitely a cartoony aspect to the whole thing. I mean, look at the size of the guns. They're super massive.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Especially when you pull out the chainsaw. The chainsaw is like...
Chainsaw's bigger than
It's
me.
like 6.5 feet long.
It's bigger than I am.
It is monstrously huge.
Absolutely. So there's definitely a cartoony aspect to it, but they still did a very good job. And I enjoyed just kind of being in there, seeing everything. The gameplay, if you like Serious Sam, this is Serious Sam. If you're looking for a game like that, here you go. If you enjoyed Quell, if you enjoyed any of those kind of shoot 'em up, kill 'em all, waves and all of...
Kill them all and let God sort them out.
This is all of that. It's all of that. And if you've ever played Serious Sam, or you've ever played a Doom, or you've played Quell 4D, this is very much in that same realm. And I think you're really going to enjoy that aspect of it. I still think you're going to get tangled up in your headset, though.
You may very well get tangled up in your headset. I kind of gave up on turning around and just decided I was going to strafe around people and just strafe till I was back and, you know,
So you'll
behind
just
them.
strafe. You'll jump backwards and strafe to the right instead of turning.
Yeah, absolutely. I need a cordless Vive. I said it. As much as I'm worried that that's going to induce extra lag, that's what I think I need.
Got to get your $200 adapter from HTC, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey, Christmas is coming up.
That's
Christmas
true.
is
Christmas is coming up. And that
knows?
seems to
You're
me
not
like it
gonna
would
get
be
it.
worth... Who knows? Unless I buy it for myself.
I like you, but I'm not buying that for you.
Yeah. It would be great to have the cordless Vive, though.
Hey, Vive. Hey, HTC. Why don't you send that to me?
I would do a total review of
We'll do a
of
total
that.
review of it, because you know what? We want to play Serious Sam without tripping.
Yeah, that or many other games like Elven Assassin or any other game where movement is required. So that said, the levels themselves were huge, and all of the rooms that you went into were big enough that I don't think there's any possibility that anybody would feel claustrophobic in them.
No, there's no chance of claustrophobia. I will say that with regards to how large the rooms are and the movement, if you try to teleport over something, you're going to fall into it. That was a little strange for me, because it's the teleport. I get why they did it, because it harms the level design otherwise. But if you're going to be developing for VR and you're going to include teleportation, you need to consider that people are going to try and teleport over jumps. And if your level design is still based on 2D, 3D gameplay like you normally would with a keyboard and a mouse, which I feel is how this game was really designed, it was designed around the keyboard and mouse first. If you're going to do that, and you're going to include teleportation, don't let me go over the edge at all. Really.
That would be nice.
Just take me to the edge. I think that there's probably no need to do that. I get why they're doing it. I just think that that is a mistake, and it's probably the only mistake I actually saw in the game itself.
You know, some of this stuff was so realistic, I'm just now seeing it. When shooting my twin shotguns, I was simulating recoil as I shot them.
Were you really?
I was bringing my guns back like I just shot a pair of, shotguns off.
That's pretty funny. I don't know if I
That
did
speaks
that.
well to your game.
I wonder if I did that now. I wonder if I'm that guy.
It was fun. I enjoyed doing it.
You were enjoying miming having a shotgun and
Yeah, right?
shooting a giant... What the hell are they? Horse skeletons?
They kind of look like it. They sound like horses.
They do. They make a galloping sound. I don't know what they are.
So here are what are, for lack of a better term, the monster horse clippy clappy things?
I'm going to call them Clippy Cloppy.
Clippy clops. Here are the clippy clops. Here are the raging cows. And the clippy clops and the cows were two of the really main enemies that I wound up shooting. Those were the ones that I was afeared of, because, they would not stop. They're really fast, and they will not stop trying to murder you until you're dead or they're dead. And then I guess there's the guy, the really broad guy, and then you had the the broad monster that was purple, and then the flying monster that looked exactly like the broad guy, but he was just flying.
And then you have the headless guy.
Oh, the headless guy with the bombs, yep.
And then you have the regular headless guy. There's a lot of weird characters in Serious Sam, if you haven't figured that out yet. Serious Sam does not take itself seriously.
No. Sam is not a serious kind of guy.
Sam is not a serious guy. I remember when Serious Sam first came out years and years ago, the very first Serious Sam, and it was a total joke game that was trying to... It was cheap. It was a cheap game. It came out, I think it was like a $10 game at the time. It was not a AAA development, and it did really, really well simply because it's fun. It's still fun, guys.
So final thoughts on the game.
I think it's a lot of fun. I think it made a couple of errors that are really, really simple, but they're the kind of errors that you don't know if you're not making VR games from the beginning. This is errors that come from a developer that has been making really high-quality PC games. And so they're simple, small things that are easy to fix, and maybe they don't need to be fixed. I don't know. Other than that, everything was really good. The music's too loud. You're going to get caught up in your headset. You're probably going to teleport over an edge if you teleport. But that's it. That's the three things. There's nothing else to say. It's fun. The game is fun.
So the price is $40 or 10% off for $35.99. Would you say that 16 levels of VR is worth $40?
If you like this game style, yes.
I would agree. I would absolutely say that $40 is justified. This has got to be one of the longest VR games I've seen yet.
I think it's probably not actually that
okay,
long.
let me change that. So when playing on the hardest difficulty level, this game could take you a significant amount of time. If you're playing on easy, you could probably breeze through this game in about, you think like two-hour game for 16 levels?
Yeah, on easy. Don't buy the game if you're not going to play the game. The real game is only played on serious.
I don't know if I would say that. It's incredibly difficult when you get to serious.
The real game is only played on serious. All the rest of it is just training to get you up there.
Well, all right. I guess that's one way to consider it.
If you're not playing the game, then the game is playing you.
Are you interested in Serious Sam VR, the first encounter?
If you like it, like it. If you don't like it, don't like it. Be sure to subscribe. Check out the Patreon. Don't forget to leave a comment. Let Crypto know that you like Serious Sam.
And we'll see you on the next one.
And, Vive, seriously.
For real, though, Vive, like, I will do a technical review of your product. I'm an electronics technician. Send it to Crypto.
Do not send it to Crypto. Send it to Maury, who has that beautiful HTC Vive voice.